wouldn't it be nice though if those alternatives were also introducing some convenience into your life? They weren't so obscure to set up and difficult to use and things like that. What's been scaring me is you hear about this a lot. You think that it's maybe paranoia or it's a coincidence. But I have seen way too much evidence in the last few months to chalk it up as coincidence. And I'm talking, of course, about ads miraculously appearing on YouTube or, the AdSense ads that follow you around the web or maybe on Facebook about things that you're verbally talking about with your phone nearby. And you are confident that you've never, say, texted that to someone on WhatsApp or Messenger or a DM on Twitter. You're confident that that has never happened. Sometimes it feels like someone is just like sitting on my couch. A stranger is just sitting on my couch. And after I'll have a conversation with my wife or something, they'll just kind of like pop up and go, "Hey, you know what you should buy?"
Yeah. It's pretty scary, man.
Shickle, I like the convenience factor, and for so long I have not been motivated because the convenience outweighed the intrusion of privacy, I guess, if I want to be honest about it. But now I'm sitting here thinking about what does this data that's been collected about me look like in 10 years?
Even beyond the fact that it feels like your microphones, like your services are listening to you when you're talking, like that's really scary. But Reply All, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that podcast. They did an episode on this a while back, and it was super interesting. And even beyond the fact that maybe these services are listening to us, Facebook, for example, what they actually are doing is almost scarier because they have this whole shadow footprint of like your persona online and who you're connected with. And they know so much about what you like, what your preferences are. And then that extends out to your like immediate friends and family. Somebody's mom was traveling to see them, and Facebook knew that she was traveling to the city where these people lived and started showing the people that lived in that city that knew her ads for things that she likes. Like that's bonkers. That is bonkers.
You don't even need a Facebook account for this profile to exist. Like that's what's insane about it, is that they build these profiles on everybody, whether they actually use Facebook or not, which is ridiculous. We consistently move towards more technologically intertwined decision making. We use it to, like companies create profiles on people and try and assess their fit based on certain criteria. There's programs being made to determine, like what kind of person someone is, how they behave, how they act, how they're likely to respond in certain situations, what they're good at, what they're not good at. And as these become more and more of a default and an asset relied on by both private companies and governments, you also run into the situation where all of this data that's built about you, if it's accessed in the future by a company or a government employing these technologies, even the smallest things that may not actually really be a knock on your character or a benefit of your character or whatever, could be used to sway the assessment of you.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. As a society, we are going to have a very difficult time collectively quitting these things that give us so much convenience, because the reason they are so polished or so elegant or so useful is because we're the product, right? And we're not paying for these things. We are paying for them with our data and our likes and our dislikes and our activity and our shopping habits and all of that. We're paying for it with our online activity.
Yep.
And so if you want to switch to all of these alternative services that are absolutely better for your privacy, the question is, are they going to be easier to use or as easy to use? Will people want to switch to them?
Yep.
Yeah. And so in addition to figuring out, okay, how do I do Google My Life? What are the alternatives to these products that are less privacy invasive. I'm sorry, gang, but at some point, we've got to fork over the money. We've got to be willing to pay for these alternatives with our money so that they can be as convenient and useful as the things that we want to quit using. Right? Am I crazy? That's going to have to happen.
Not at all.
There's always a cost associated with any kind of service or transaction. And that cost just varies based on whatever the business model of the company providing it is.